This customer got ripped off nearly $500,000. They've been through the courts and the NCAT system for over 2.5 years. Before the NCAT ruled in their favor, the government forced them to pay the builder $100,000. And once you see the work on this property, you'll beg to ask the question, why? And after all of that and losing $500,000, home warranty insurance only gives them a maximum payout of 320 grand. Now you guys tell me if this is fair. I'm not here to diss builders. Every problem has a solution. I'm not here to create dramas, but when you see this job, it begs the question, what the hell was the builder doing on this job site? Where was the project management skills? A 2-year-old child could see that the trades were doing the incorrect thing. Look, builders, this is for you. When you see a problem with a build, stop. When you see an issue, don't hide it, because it's easy to rectify as you go along. It's easy to fix the mistakes. It becomes very expensive and very difficult to fix them at a later stage. So let's go and have a look at this job and you guys tell me what you think. All right, let's start with the outside of this property. So this is a garage. This is one of the 3 sections of this house that's part of the extension. And we'll start with over here on this corner. And you'll see right here that there's no articulation joints. So the top of this wall, because there was a window here, and you'll see it in a second, and that's pretty idiotic how they've done it, but they've continued the brickwork and tied this brickwork into that brickwork, which is fine. But then down here, they've completely butt joined it. And there's no articulation joint in this. So that needs to be rectified. And it's non-compliant. Then you've got a massive beam up here, which is oversized anyway, which is good. But it's sitting on a single 90 by 45 stud. This requires at least a second jack stud on the other side there. And personally, I would do something more like this, where it has 2 jack studs and the fillers, so to prevent any bowing or movement or twisting in the timber, with some noggings in between them. Okay? Then we come around here, and I want to show you guys this. I've got the light on here. Why would you leave the window like this? Like, I don't get it. Left the window, and then the brickwork is just sitting like that now. Why is this screen turning off? Here we go. Look how they've done this, guys. I don't know. Like what were they thinking? Now let's look at more interesting stuff. So the thing that strikes you the most, and the reason why everyone had a mental breakdown on this job, look at this brickwork. Check out this brickwork, guys. What do you think? This is not brickwork, this is Swiss cheese. Check out all the brickwork, and it's like this throughout the whole house. And then the builder decided to fix it all with Sikaflex on the outside. Look at this brickwork. What do you guys think of that? And if you look on the outside very quickly, look how they fixed the brickwork. Now I'll show you on this side. It's a bit easier to see. Look at that. They filled it with Sikaflex. And while we're out here, let's have a look out here, and then we'll go back inside. So this house is bell rated 29 on 3 sides and a bell 19 on the back side. So there's a lot of restrictions here, what you can do with fire ratings and things like that. That is not acceptable in a bell 29. You can't have a combustible material on the outside of the house. So these windows will have to be either replaced, or we'll have to find a solution to make that non-combustible. The good news is they put an articulation joint in, which is nice. It's a little bit ill-fitting, but it works. I'll probably do some backer rod in there and some Sika, and that is done pretty accurately, actually, which I'm very happy with. They've got the weep holes down here, which is great. This is how they decided to patch the brickwork. This is supposed to be finished brickwork, by the way. All right, let's get inside. So then it leads us to the carpentry. Carpentry work here is shocking. Like, where do I start? So let me grab my torch out so I can start pointing to things for you guys. So these guys here are called a counter beam, right? So this beam here, that's called a counter beam. Sorry, I'm gonna wobble for a sec. Okay. Now the counter beam's job is to do one of two things. It splits up the span of the hanging beams. So the hanging beam's job is to stop the sagging in the ceiling joists. Ceiling joists are what the gyprock attaches to. And the job of the hanging beam is to prevent sagging. But if they span too far, they themselves will sag, which is why you have counter beam. That's the first job of the counter beams. The second job of the counter beams is if you want to, you can strut the roof load onto them to support what do they call them? Under purlins, and you can support the load of the roof, transfer it a bit down to prevent the sagging of the roof. Now, yeah, you can see my light, perfect. So this is the counter beam, and there's a rule where it's the rule for cutting down these beams at the wall is B over 3, which is 1/3, or 100 mil. So whichever is the greater amount. So the maximum you can cut down this beam over here is 100 mil. That's sitting at 60 mil at the moment. And you'll see this consistently as we go along. It's the same thing with this hanging beam. This hanging beam has been supported underneath here, which is fine, but it's been cut down too thin, and there's no gang plates on this. And this has to be engineered to be approved because it's been cut down too much. They've also on this side, why can't I see my screen? Also on this side, it's the same issue here, and it's the same issue with this counter beam here as well. Not to mention that there's supposed to be a stud directly underneath this counter beam, or you have to stiffen the top plate, or you have to have double top plates. This has none of those. And it's the same on this side here. Okay? Then you've got a monstrosity of something that's happening up here, which is absolutely shocking and crazy to say the least. So it's so confusing to where the load's going. All of this is going to have to be ripped out. Look at this monstrosity here. You got an underpurling with another 90 by 45 under it, with another 90 by 45 under it, loading onto a hanging beam. And then that hanging beam is trying to get supported on this side, but this side, this counter beam is also supporting the ridge beam. Sorry, that hip beam. It's just all over the place. Then another part of this, which is amazing to me, is you've got a wailing plate on the wall here, which is taking up quite a bit of the load of the roof, because as you can see, you've got an underpurling going across here, and that's loaded up onto the counter beam over here. That's cut down too thin there, but then it's sitting on this wailing plate, but this wailing plate only has one bolt right there. Right over here. One bolt. That's shocking, man. One bolt and a couple of nails holding down probably a third of this roof. That's holding the load on one Dyna bolt. And they've used the Dyna bolt. That's crazy. That's absolutely shocking. There's insufficient cross bracing in here. So they've done a single cross brace going across here. Should be double cross braced. The cross bracing is not even done properly. Look at it. So we need double cross bracing here, double cross bracing there, double cross bracing here. None of that's got done. Look at the brickwork up here, guys. That's shocking. That's disgusting. There's no header beam above the door. So you need to have a header beam with 2 jack studs. So all this needs to be cut out and redone. It's just a shame. Really. Now, what I was saying is for every problem, there's a solution. Now, most of the engineers have recommended this thing get knocked down and rebuilt. One, because it's not built to the contract specifications. And two, because it's so messy, in a lot of cases, it's actually cheaper to knock it down and rebuild it. We are having a look at this job, and we believe we can save it. We've had the engineer out here today, and yeah, we should be able to save this. But it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of effort, and we're going to have at least 2 engineers involved to make sure that this is going to be sufficient to keep the customer protected for the future. And as a second builder, I have to cover everything here under warranty. Now, the other thing I wanted to discuss here, and it's more of a cosmetic thing, really. Really, yeah, not really. So basically, this is because this is bell rated, things that were normally cosmetic becomes an issue. Like, for example, this cavity here, right, goes all the way around the top, and it's very uneven too. Now, when you put a garage door on, the garage door sits on the inside here. So the garage door sits on the inside here. So all of this stuff is going to be exposed. So ideally what you want to do in this scenario is you want the bricklayer to brick around. So you have a nice finish. So when you close the garage door, you have a very nice finish. And then up here, you want to have a T-bar lintel to bridge that gap instead of having an L-bar lintel there. So you really need to put some forethought into how you're going to finish things as you're building so you don't run into these situations. All right, let's move on to the next part of the house. All right, let's continue on. So up here, there's no apron flashing, there's no over flashing. They've smashed up the windowsill at the top. Let me see if I can zoom into that. Can I zoom into it? Double tap, there we go. They've smashed up that entire windowsill at the top. So I'm assuming there's water getting in there now. And not only that, again, this comes down to the forethought when you're designing. You've got 2 ventilation stacks that are so close to the wall. How are you expecting to put an apron flashing and an over flashing on a roof like this with the vent sitting that close to the wall? How do you expect to do that? You really, really, really need to be thinking about things as you go along. Look, as a builder, you're going to get crappy trades. There's no denying it. But the whole house is the brickwork, all of the brickwork looks like this. And this would have taken 2 to 3 days to complete at least. So did the builder not check any of the work that the tradie did? That's ridiculous. There's no articulation joint here either. And you'll see it's a common issue. There's so much defects on this property that it was actually the Scott schedule pretty much requested a knockdown rebuild from NCAT. The only thing that looks sufficient here is the slab. Most of the plumbing is in the wrong place, or the retaining hasn't been done correctly. The retaining wall should be all the way back here. There's no drainage anywhere for the retaining walls. It's just everywhere. Every single place that you look at is just rubbish. Wait until I show you the rest of it. That's not even the half the bad. This can be saved. There's part of this that has to be knocked down. There's nothing we can do about it. So let's have a look at here. So this is the alfresco area. Check this out. There are massive beams which are engineered to span this distance. They're 360 by 65 beams. Now the engineering documentation specified that they should be laminated together and also glued together, so chemically and mechanically fixed. Well, they haven't chemically fixed them and they haven't laminated them properly, right? And there is, I'll put the extract on the screen of the NCC description of how this should be done. And they've loaded that up before they've laminated it properly. And look at the split. It's completely starting to split apart. Not only that, it's got over 35mm deflection now in it because it hasn't been laminated properly. So the whole thing is actually deflecting down. Then on top of that, to make matters worse, they haven't tied it down from the up force, from the wind, so the uplift. So they put the strap in here and decided not to put it on. So any major wind here would just lift this roof up. It's the same on that side. The fall of this roof is towards the house instead of the opposite direction. You got an insufficient ridge beam up there because that bridge beam is nearly 6 meters long. and it's only a 120mm piece of timber. Right? The collar ties are too high up. The collar ties have to sit at least 1/3 of the way down from that roof. Otherwise, they can't resist the span of the roof splitting apart. They can't resist the forces of the roof splitting apart. So the collar ties are incorrect. Then you've got massive hanging beams that are cut down again, next to nothing here. Right there. Same thing on that side. All of them. Same thing everywhere. And then the worst part of it is, the engineering and plans specify that there's a post here. They didn't put the post in. They didn't notch the bricks out, which would have been an alternative to putting the post in. They've notched the beam down to around about 90mm, from 360mm to 90mm, and sat it on top of the wall. So all of your shear strength now is sitting on a 90mm piece of timber. And then they use these idiotic angles and didn't even bother to use galvanized anchor screws. They've used bright dynabolts. So they haven't even done that properly. So your entire roof now is sitting on something here that at any point could just collapse, and this whole thing will collapse. This is actually dangerous. And it's the same thing on this side. This side here is just butt jointed into the two beams that carry across these doors, which we'll talk about in a second. And they've used these angles just to bugle them in. All your shear strength of this entire load here is sitting on a few bugles, instead of loading it up to this brick pier here, which is already there, mind you. But they haven't done that. And again, same thing with this guy here. You can actually see how much these beams are delaminating from this one. This one's actually worse than the other one. This whole thing has to come down. This entire structure is unsafe. The engineering plans specified 2 360 beams over here. So one of these had a 65mm, one has 45mm. So 2 360 beams here, 2 360 beams there, and 2 300 beams there. And all of these are single beams. So you've got an entire roof load on top of less than half of what's specified on this job by the engineers. That's why most of the doors and windows are binding. Don't even get me started with these doors and windows. Look at these doors and windows. Look at this. Look at this. There's no fixings. They haven't fixed it properly. They've used 6mm glass with like a 1300 span. There's no markings. There's no markings on these doors. Compliance markings. So we don't know if they're compliant or not. This is a BAL rated property, guys. This is BAL 29 on this side. So this side, everything facing north, west, and east is BAL 29. These have to comply with the BAL ratings for bushfire embers and bushfires. So how are they expecting to put the mesh screens on here when they've only used a 4-tracker? You can't even put the screens on here anymore. Look at this. It's shocking. The doors don't even work properly. They're completely binding up. Look. Can you see all the bowing up there? Can you see how it's all bowed? Instead of using a double beam here, look what they've done. They haven't even done that properly. Look at this. Look, I want to show you guys how that beam is sitting. Look at it. It's shocking. It's disgusting. You don't know what's going into where. It's just nail as many timbers as you can and hope that nobody picks up on where the load's going. Look at this. What's going into where? Where's nailing into where? There's like it's what the hell? It's the same thing above this door, but this door, it gets even better. This is how you know the builder never checked his work ever. Check this out. They've used MDF to pack this door. MDF. The worst thing in the world that you could possibly think of, with the exception of your finger, this is the worst thing you can pack this door with, MDF. If this sees rain coming from 700 kilometers away, it will expand and it will get deteriorated. This is the worst product you can use to pack this door. 100% non-compliant. This entire door has to come out now. It is just stupid. There's no defending that. There's just utter stupidity. Complete and utter stupidity. There's no flashings underneath the doors. There's no way of stopping the water from going into the house. I'm dumbfounded. Absolutely. Look, sarking all cut up everywhere. Sarking should be continuous and overlap the gutters by 20 mil. They go into the gutters by 20 mil. Good thing here is because we've got an eave, you don't need an anti-ponding device, which is... But look, you can see how warped, there's no tension on them, nothing like that. It's all ripped up anyway. Look at all this wiring. God knows what the hell is happening with the wiring here. If they ever had an issue, how the hell are they going to fix it? Look where it is. We'll come back inside. I'm trying not to mess up this house. It's all muddy and raining. Look at this, guys. Look at this brick wall. It's disgusting. Look at this brickwork. And then, you want to see the worst thing about it? You've got a massive beam that goes across there, right? It's only sitting on the post 10 mil. That is so bad, it's not funny. And then they've used trim pieces. I don't know what the hell they're using trim pieces in there for. That beam there is supporting a lot of the load of the extension, and it's sitting on this post by only 10 mil. What an absolute joke. Look at this work. Then we come over into here. Again, supposed to be a double beam up here. All the doors are supposed to have double beams. This has got a single. Look at this, guys. Can't even open and close the door. Can you hear that? Everything is binding. Nothing's working properly. Again, up here, we've been up there and did an inspection. All the collar ties are too high up. It's the same issues throughout the whole carpentry here. Everything has to be pulled out. Everything has to be rectified, redone. A lot of this can be saved, except for out there, that can't be saved at all. But the rest of it can be saved, which is a blessing. Let me take you guys outside and show you what's happening outside. So, as we were saying before, a lot of this can be saved. A lot of it, so the bedroom wing can be saved, the garage can be saved, the entire pergola has to come out. Now you got to understand that when I do remove this pergola, it will mean, because the roof ties in, I'll show you in a second, the roof ties into the house. So it's very intrusive repair. Everything here, the house, the original house, all of it's going to have to be opened up and redone. It's going to be very expensive because you have to do it fast. And you have to avoid getting, the house wet, obviously, from rain, because everything's going to be exposed, as well as it's very high risk for damaging the existing house. So it's a bit of a shame, isn't it? Now, this part here is shocking. 2 engineers, and we're still scratching our heads on how to fix this and why this was done like this. So this is the retaining wall that they build in here to obviously hold back the dirt. Now, this is supposed to be a block wall with steel reinforcement and concrete filled. They haven't done that. Bricks cannot be used as a retaining wall in most cases for anything above 800 height. This is over 1.1 meters in height. Not only that, they've done double brick here. They haven't tied it here. They butt jointed it for some unknown reason. They haven't ran the ag lines behind it. It was actually still backfilled. And then on top of it, they put these guys all the way down and bolted them in, so giving you absolutely no way of waterproofing this correctly. So they just keep compiling all the issues here. And this is what I was talking about before when I said it goes into the existing house. Look at this. This is how my shoes got all muddy from all this stuff. Look at this. They've tied the retaining wall into the pool pump room. So the pool pump room now is a retaining wall, which is insufficient and incompliant as well. So the only real solution we have here, other than knocking everything down and rebuilding it, would be to move the retaining wall back, put a walkway in there. We have to do some kind of a flashing so that top of that brickwork is not exposed. Look at the brickwork here. Look at this brickwork. Look at that. How shocking is that? Yeah, this will help you see the roofs, how they go into the existing house. This retaining wall is actually one of the worst parts of this house, because this is the part that would have been easy to fix when there was nothing here with an excavator, and now we can't get an excavator in here. So the amount of power, manpower, labor just to move all this dirt is going to be shocking and ridiculous, to say the least. Look at here. Try not to kill myself. Look at the water. Look at the water, guys. There is already rising damp and mold smells inside the house. The articulation joints haven't been done properly anywhere in this house. Look, you can see all over the walls how they've tried to fix all the holes to prevent water going into the house. This is Bell 29. I've got to remind you. Look what they've used on the side there. Massive gaps, massive holes. And the window's pushed over to one side and there's a massive hole on the other side. None of this is compliant. I don't know how the government awarded this builder an additional 100 grand after all these defects were identified. You can see how much moisture is down there. Look at that. All the water just coming and ponding there. Look how they've built the retaining wall into part of the house. Completely insufficient. And that's why they have so many damp issues in there and water issues. On this side of the house as well, if we come over here, look at that. They haven't even bothered to put drainage in here, nothing. How were you expecting to do this? Now we had to cut back all these trees. This entire retaining wall has to be cut back. All of this would have to be drained as well, because water is just sitting there and it's causing dampness and mold issues inside already. The downpipes are in the wrong place from the pipes. And actually, on the other side next to the pool, there's like 20 something meters worth of guttering with no downpipes. So we're going to have to cut all the concrete up and put downpipes in now, which is an absolute mission. I'm going to walk around the house because there's a tree here and I'll show you that side. So we're coming around this side of the house because we're blocked on the other side of the house. Look at the gaps in the window. I remind you, this is a Bell 29 rated. And they've used additional timber up there, which is combustible, which you can't use for a Bell 29 rating. You can't use it anyway on the inside of the house. You can still use it up there, but you just can't use it as a backing to cover a gap. I guess you can put an aluminium angle over that. I have to check with the engineer. But look, they've still got a massive gap up there. Look at this. Look at this hole here. What happened there, Mr. Bricklayer? What happened there, Mr. Drifter? At least I got an articulation joint here. Congratulations. I just hope it's pinned together. Let's see this window. Try not to kill myself, guys. Oh, the spiders, and I'm scared of spiders. Oh, they put a articulation joint there, which is nice. I'm gonna run. Look look how big that weep hole is. It's as big as my head. There's another one here, another massive one here for some reason. What the hell is that? Look how close this is. Look how damp everything. Look at the water in here. Actually, there you go. Look how much water is sitting against the house. This will lead to major issues. Now imagine all of this stuff wasn't here. How easy it would be to get the excavator that excavated here to cut back this and then put a new retaining wall in. Even if you didn't do it, let the customer do it, but at least you've cut it back so you can put drainage in here. But they didn't intend to put drainage in. They didn't intend to care about that. All they cared about was to get the hell money and get the hell out of here. All they cared about was to get their money and get the hell out of here as quickly as they possibly can. And that's the problem with this industry. It's all about how can I get money as fast as I possibly can. Look at the water in here, guys. Mind you, it hasn't even rained that much, but look at the water. That there is the built-in wardrobe of the house. Look at the pooling water here. Well, this has to be addressed. Is this acceptable? Look how much water I'm standing in. There's at least 20 mil of water in here, next to all the electrical outlets. You can see where the water's actually coming through the wall from that issue that I was telling you about outside. Look at this. You can see the efflorescence coming through the wall there as well. Look at all the efflorescence on the wall. That's all that white stuff. See? All there. All the efflorescence. Look how shocking this is. This is going to cause all sorts of mold, damp issues, everything. Why? Because nobody actually gives a crap. Look at the water here. And this is a pool area. Even if you're going to tile, even if you're going to screed on top of this, you should have some sorts of falls because water gets through standard grout. It gets through it. You should have some kind of a fall away from the property, away from the house. It doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to screed when you tile anyway. But come on, man. Come on. All these copings are going to have to be pulled back up. It's ridiculous. So what are my final thoughts? Well, first and foremost, I would like to shout out the TikTok inspector. I know a lot of people hate on you because you pick up a lot of the little defects. But at the end of the day, a defect is a defect, whether it's small or large. And that's what you have to do when you're doing building reports. My job over here, and the reason why I'm making these videos is slightly different. What I'm trying to achieve is educate both the builder and educate the public on how to protect themselves and what can be done to rectify issues like this. Look, I've been building for nearly 10 years and we get dodgy trades all the time. We also get dodgy clients for you builders that are, I know you're going to say that in the comments. But the communication is missing in this industry. Proper contractual agreements is missing in the industry. The contract either favors the builder or it favors the client. There's no communication. You said this and I said this and he says I didn't say this and she says there's nothing in writing. There are people getting thousands and tens of thousands of dollars worth of variations without understanding what those variations are, without having a contract in place. There's issues that are getting overlooked because the builder's getting scared. You know, he comes out, he sees his bricklayer do stupid work like this, and instead of rectifying and telling the bricklayer to piss off and figuring out how to rectify it, he's just trying to pass it on to the customer. And it compiles, it exponentially compiles. Starts off with the carpenter, the concrete, then the brickwork, then the carpentry, and everything is getting worse and worse and worse and worse to the point where the customer's just looking at you and going, mate, you can't be serious telling me this stuff is normal. And for you customers out there, protect yourselves. I'm going to make some videos on how to protect yourselves. We do inspections. There's a lot of guys that do inspections. We can come out and do building inspections at different stages, including engineers, certifiers, architects. We offer that service. We come out, we do all your inspection works independent of the builder. And no, we're not here to smash the builder. We're here to have a discussion with the builder on how to fix things. So unless the builder is an absolute piece of shit dodgy, then he has nothing to worry about because we're here to make sure that the Australian standards are met or exceeded. And we're not here to talk crap about each other or destroy businesses and destroy lives. That's not what we're here to do. Builders are doing it tough. Our trades are stupid. To understand the code is stupid. It's very difficult to understand the code. Not to mention, the stupid government makes you pay for the code. So most builders don't even have access to the full code. It costs tens of thousands of dollars just to get the building code. Then you need an engineering certificate to bloody read it. So anyway, follow our group on Facebook, Build Smart Tips and Advice by Yes I Can Project Group. Follow our YouTube channel for exclusive content. Build Smart by Yes I Can Project Group, or you can search Yes I Can Project Group. Contact us, info@yesican.com.au, or yesican.com.au is our website, and 1-800-300-937. And until next time, guys, don't forget, at Yes I Can, if we can't do it, no one can.